Hello all and welcome to Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on part 3 of our hexagon bag, and that's placing our handles. How gorgeous are these handles? They are like a crossover strap for our bag, or even you can wear that over your shoulders as well. Alright, so how gorgeous does that look? I love, love, love. Now it's not finished the bag, no. We need to do another part where we are adding a little thing that closes up here, plus we are lining our bag, and that will happen in part 4, our final part for the bag. Okay, so that's going to happen on Thursday. Get excited. In the meantime, what you will need for your bag is, I forgot the yarn, but there you go. You will need between 90 and 95 grams of your yarn. You will need a hook size, let's try 2 hook sizes bigger than the one that you, let's try this, than the one that you started using. Okay, now I was using a 4.5 throughout the tutorial, so I'm dropped down to a 3.5, not a 4, but a 3.5. You will need a sewing needle, 2 stitch markers, and let's get a close up, and scissors. And of course you're looking at a pencil thinking, what for? Well, yes, I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to grab it. You need a little book like this with a whole lot of scribble to count your rows, because you are doing the bag in sections. So you are doing one all the way up to the top, then you're doing the other side all the way up to the top. You are sewing them together, and then later we will be crocheting around it, all in the same tutorial. Then you're doing the opposite side exactly the same. You're doing them in different sections, but you're doing them the same. I'm not going to talk anymore because the tutorial does go for a long time. So all I'm going to say is good luck making the handles of your crochet hexagon bag. Alrighty guys, here's our bag, okay? And what you'll notice is I've already done one handle. Now the reason is I wanted to have a play with it and change things around to suit me before I showed you how to do it. Now where we are going to be starting is in one corner and going up all the way up, in the other corner going up all the way up, and then we are going to meet in the middle and do a join as you go in there for now. And then later we're going to be doing a row of single crochet on the inside of your bag and a row of single crochet on the outside of the bag, as well as going around our hexagons. All right, so don't worry about that for now. All you need to worry about is what we're going to do for the handles. Now let's pretend that I haven't done my handles, and that's what you are looking at right now, okay? The handles haven't been done, even though there's a big handle under there. So what you're going to do is grab your hook. Now remember, the hook size you are using is roughly 2 sizes smaller than what you've been using. So if you were using a 4.5, you need to use a 3.5. If you're using a 4, you need to use a 3. If you're using a 5, you need to use a 4, and so on, 6, 5, and whatever you used. All right, 5.5 doesn't matter, use a 4.5. All right, you're using the same thread, and this is the thread that your handle color is going to be. So whatever thread you used, I'm using this color for the handle. You can use the light blue, you can use the cream, or whatever color you want to call that. It's actually called Ghost, which means light gray. I know it sounds weird, but it suits really well with the blue. All right, so what you're going to do is find, I didn't even tell you what we're going to do, that first corner right there. This is the right side of your work facing you. So your bag, that's the inside, this is the outside. Pop your hook in the right side on your top hexagon, grabbing a tail, pulling a loop through, grabbing your little tail, just passing it forward. This is just locking it into place. Chain 1, like so. Let's move everything out the way so it doesn't blur. All right, and now we are popping a single crochet in that space as well. And a single crochet is hook in the space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Easy. Now you're going to be doing single crochets all the way across here, and I'm going to be crocheting over the tail, plus later I will sew that in as well, because this is a handle and we don't want this handle coming undone. It shouldn't, because we are doing a row of single crochet over this area, so it'll lock it all into place, but still Yours truly, as you know, is pedantic, and away we go. We're going to pop a single crochet in that first stitch. Now that is a stitch right there, so pop it in there, and that's actually your second stitch for the row. In fact, grab a stitch marker and pop a stitch marker in that first stitch right there. That's the one we just did before, the one in the corner. That will be classified as your first stitch for that row, for this row. Now we single crochet in the very next stitch, crocheting over the tail if you like. Again, this isn't necessary, this crocheting over tails, it's just what I do. And then you do a next one, and that's your fourth from memory. 1, 2, 3, 4, yep. And then you go 5, 6. I'm going to drop the tail now, not for anything, just as long as I want it to go. 7, 8, 9, and your 10th stitch will go straight into that corner space. Single crochet in the corner space. All right, chain 1. And now what you need to do is turn your bag, because you're going to work along those stitches. Now for this round, we're going to start reducing. And we're not going to do the two together like a lot of people do. We're just going to skip that first stitch right there and single crochet, not into that, but that very next one. All right, so there's your 2 V's and your 2 V's. We're going to single crochet in that second set of V's right there. And that's your first single crochet. Grab a stitch marker so it reminds you that that is the first one that you made. If you are new to crochet, really important for this, you know, pop a stitch marker, a safety pin, whatever you have at home, piece of thread, it doesn't matter. First stitch, second, third, fourth, ooh, don't split the yarn, fourth, fifth, sixth, and 7th stitch. You have 2 stitches left right there. You're going to skip that second stitch right there, or second last stitch. You're going to go straight in the stitch marker stitch, which was the very first stitch that you made. You can take that stitch marker out if it's too awkward to work with. And do your single crochet. Chain 1. All right, and what you have is that so far. Turn your work again. Like you're turning your page in a book, or whatever turn you use, consistently stay that way throughout your work. All right, so that space right there, you're going to skip it. I know there's a big space, but it'll fill in later. You're going to skip that space, and you're going to go into the very next stitch. So we're doing a reduction on this row as well. 1, grab your stitch marker. Really important, this part, and you'll know that at the end of this row while we're popping our stitch markers in. That's your first stitch, your second, third, fourth, fifth, and before you do your 6th stitch, you're going to skip that stitch right there. You're going to pop, this is why you needed your stitch marker, your hook in that stitch marker stitch and do your single crochet. Oh, take out that stitch marker. All right, chain 1, and yep, you're going to turn your work again. Oh, now this is the best bit, guys. You're going to love this part. And no skipping anything in this round. You're going to single crochet in that first stitch right there where you see the space. Pop in your stitch marker and single crochet across. You've already done 1 single crochet, so you're going to go 2, whoops, don't lose a stitch, that's your second one, 3, 4, 5, and you should have 1 left, and that's what you should have. Pop your single crochet in there, that's your 6th single crochet. Take out your stitch marker. All right, don't forget to chain your 1, yes, and turn your work. Oops, turn it without messing up. The bag is big now, yeah? So it's kind of in the way. It's kind of annoying, but it's a good annoying. All right, from here, you are going to do a single crochet in that first stitch. Grab your stitch marker. Now this is going to be your repeat row, so remember this row, which is not too hard to remember because we just did it. Single in your next stitch, single in your next, and so on, and so on, all the way. Get to your last stitch where your stitch marker is, single crochet in there, take out that stitch marker, and chain one. I'm just going to pull up a loop so I can explain what you are going to do next. All right, but let me show you what you've done so you know where you're headed. That's what you have so far. All right, it should look a little bit like this. That one there might come in a little bit, that's normal. It will fix up later, don't stress. And it might bend a little bit, which is also normal because we are using a small crochet hook. And so it's tightening up these stitches. It is absolutely normal. And it will adjust itself once we do a row of single crochet around them. All right, but for now, this is what I want you to do. Very simple. Let me grab a little book so that you can see what I did. Turn the page. All right, after you've done this section here, you need to do roughly 55 rows up. And I'm saying roughly, okay? Because what I want you to do is do 50 rows and measure it up against yourself, okay? Now, altogether, mine is actually 58. Don't ask me how I messed up a couple of rows. So it should have been 60, 55 or 60, but it doesn't matter. What I do usually is I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I just do 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so on, all right? And then I go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and I put in 58. So that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 56, 57, 58. Now you're thinking, no, it's not, it's only 4. When you mark off your rows, you go 1, first row, second row, third row, fourth row, put a whole line through it to make it the 5th row. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. After that, you're doing exactly the same until you get to that last section right there, and you've got your last 3 left. This is where I want you to kind of, roughly around 50 or 55, get to that section right there, measure it up against yourself, which we will be doing together, and then you can see how many more rows you need to do. The last 50, 55, whatever. Meet me back here, and don't do these last 3. Meet me back here, we'll do some measurements, and you can decide yourself how long you pretty much want yours to be. Okay, so I will show you mine later, the one that's actually completed, when you get to this section. All right, go ahead and do this is the best part. Let me get you started so that you can go off. Now, if you're anything like me and you don't need to use stitch markers, look what I picked up instead of the crochet hook. Too funny, right? Get it right, woman. You don't have to use the stitch markers, but if you need to use, that's too close, sorry about that. But if you need to use your, still too close. Hello. If you need to use your stitch markers, then go ahead and use them. I'm not going to use them for this row, all right? But you can still use them. So single crochet in that first stitch, 1, single in your next, 2, and your next, 3, and 4, 5, and take your stitch marker out if you like, and 6. Chain 1. Whoops. All right. Turn your work. I kind of don't. I leave it on the table and just take the hook out. You don't need to do that. Before you go on, you grab your book and you mark off that one row that you just did. It's a little bit fiddly, but really important. And if you've got a row counter, use your row counter. Really important for this part because you need both your handles to be the same height. But don't stress too much because I'll show you what to do in case you've made a mistake towards the end, all right? So then you just keep going across. Single in your first, single in your second, single in your third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Okay, so the reason, chain one, sorry, the reason I ask you to use stitch markers, and don't forget you need to mark off this row. The reason I ask you to use stitch markers is sometimes you can miss that very last stitch, or more likely you can miss the first stitch if you are new to crochet. For avid crocheters and more experienced crocheters, you can go ahead over and over and over again until you make your 55 rows, 58 rows, whatever you want to get to. I'm going to get to 55 rows and meet you back here on that 56th row when we're ready to start the 56th row. And then we can decide together whether your bag is the right size for you. Or I mean your strap is the right size for you. All right, that's my first strap, which is now officially done. Even though the tails aren't weaved in, it is actually done. And you are going to now go ahead and do this side, get to your 55th stitch, which will get you just to the top of your bag. Won't get you all the way around because we're going to cast off at the top. It'll get you to the top, all right? So get to your 55th stitch and we'll talk about measurements. Alrighty guys, I got up to 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and I have 56, 57, 58. I have 3 more rows to do for me. Okay, so then when I say that, it's because I want it to match my other side. Okay, it hasn't matched it there yet. All right, well, let me try it again. Whoa. Okay, let's move all these threads out the way. All right, so really I have 1, 2, hang on a minute, I've got to see where the join is now. Oh dear, where's my join? Right there. I actually have 2 more rows to do, so I must have done my 56th row. I don't remember doing it, but there you go. I must have done it. So I actually have 2 more rows to do. Maybe I just didn't mark it off. There you go. Never mind. But before I do, I'm just going to quickly take a standing up shot of me. Don't look at my face today, there's no makeup. Just going to do a quick standing up shot of me so you can have a look at the bag. Okay, just one moment. Alrighty guys, here's my bag. Now this is my handle. I'm just going to pop the bag over the way I want to wear it. And it'll be like that. It'll be across my shoulders. So I've done one side. Now I'm looking at it thinking, is it too high? No, because this will stretch a tiny little bit, not a lot, but it will stretch a bit, so it will come down a bit. But I like it sitting on my hip, and there's the very, very top of my hip there. So I like my bag to sit there so that I can just go like that, put my hand in, and if it's too low, I'm kind of fussing with it. But this way I can go right in to the bottom of the bag. See the little bottom of the bag there? All right, that's my handle. Now, to get the same length as my handle, okay, you need to, oh, some of mine's coming undone. Look, this is what happens when you don't put a stitch marker in. Let's just bring out a big thread. Grab your bag, okay. Now you can use a measuring tape for this part. You can sit the bag on your hip, and at the moment, the top part, let me get a bit closer. The top part there has got to go right in the middle of your shoulders. Now mine doesn't right now because I still have my 2 rows to do. All right, by the time I do my 2 rows, it'll be flat bang right in the middle of my shoulders. That is one side only we have done. We are now going to officially work on the other side normally, but for now, we're just going to work on both sides. We're going to finish off this side in a minute when you find the measurement that you like. Now, if you want the same measurement as mine, and also, by the way, if you didn't want to wear your bag across your shoulder like that, like a strap, you could just wear it like normal, like that, okay, where it sits just below the hip, and you can still pop your hand in the bottom of the bag if you like. All right, entirely up to you. I'm going to leave my handles at 58. rows. So if you want to continue doing it the way I'm doing it, you can continue to do it on 58 rows or to the length of your choice. Remember, we are doing 2 of these. This is one, and we're doing a second one on this side, and then you're going to repeat the process for the other side of the bag, which I'll show you in a moment. But in the meantime, let's get back to finishing off that side. Alrighty guys, and look what I did there. See, it came undone. Oh, let's finish it off that row. Chain 1. Alright, so I'm going to do another 2 more rows just because I wanted to match my other side of the bag, and then I will match it up again. So do your whatever size you want to get up to. Mine is going to be 58 rows altogether. And I will do the right thing and mark off these 3 rows. Should have been 2, I don't know what I did. I must have skipped marking it off. Alright, now, okay, I'm just going to measure it up. You don't have to do this part, I'm just doing it for my benefit to make sure I'm... Oh, there we are. So there is another row. See, I was right, there was another row. Hello, wake up, Mary. Sorry guys, bear with me a second. Chain 1. Okay, I don't usually go that fast. Sorry, guys. All right, so what we're going to do here, let's pretend... Oh, I better measure it again. See how pedantic I am, guys? You see how pedantic yours truly is? Very, very pedantic. Making sure, and that is perfect right there, right now. Let me get a close-up, and that's perfect for me. All right, when you take that away, that is your join. You don't see that yet, but you will, and you won't see it actually. It's quite invisible. It's the reason why I like doing that join. A lot of people may struggle with it, and I'll let you know that you can actually sew yours together if you like. All right, when you get to, well, let's just do the last stitch. Let's pretend you guys are at the end of your row. You single crochet in your last stitch like so. Pull a loop through like so. Give it a cut. Pull the loop through. Leave it there. All right, so that we're not lopsided, what we do to one side we need to do to the other. Yay. However, all right, you're still going to work from the front, and we're going to start in the middle section. See how we started on the end here? We're going to go right, it's like we're going across the row. Yep, we're going to go right across that row, pop our hook in the middle section rather than the front, right? So still in the same spot, it's just in the center part of your bag. All right, so what you need to do, we can do that later. Let's just worry about starting it first. Now, do you remember how we started it? If you don't, we're going to do this part together anyways. So grabbing your loop and pulling your loop through like so. Pull your tail forward and away we go, chaining 1, yes, and single crochet in the same space as your 1. We'll pop that stitch marker in now so I don't forget. Again, if you don't want to use stitch markers, you don't have to. And once again, I'm going to crochet over the tail, moving your work over. There is a stitch right there. Don't forget that stitch or you'll be 1 short. So this is your second stitch, single crochet across, your third, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I'm going to pop that tail at the back now. 8, 9, and 10. Now don't forget we are chaining 1, and then we are turning our work. You're turning your bag over, and then you're starting your first row. Now remember, this row is the row where we actually start reducing straight away. So we're not going to put a single crochet in our stitch that we are in. We're going to jump over and do it in the very next stitch. Single crochet, 1, grabbing your stitch marker and popping it in your stitch. Single crochet, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and before you do your 8, you are skipping that stitch and jumping straight into your stitch marker with your 8th single crochet. You could have taken that stitch marker out before you completed it if it was awkward, like it was just for me. Chain 1, okay, and here you have, don't worry about that little tail, just move it out the way, you have already reduced your row, so you should have 8 single crochets across. Yeah, turning your work. It's a little awkward with the turn, but you know, it's only a very small part of our crochet bag, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's over very quickly. And we are skipping that first stitch again, and we are jumping into the second one with a single crochet. Grabbing your stitch marker, not throwing it, grabbing it. Let's try that again. Hello. And single crocheting across. This is your second stitch, your third, fourth, fifth, and before you do the 6th, you skip that stitch right there, you jump into the stitch with your stitch marker and do your 6th. Take that stitch marker out. Oh, oh. Chain 1, turn your work. A lot of turning, but it's okay. Whoops. All right, and now single crochet in that first stitch. Pop your stitch marker if you're new. The rest of us can keep going. Single crochet in your second stitch. Let me bring that up, that's better. And your third, fourth, 5th, and 6th. Take your stitch marker out, and I'm not going to, oh sorry, chain 1, and I'm not going to be popping my stitch markers in this row. This is to remind you this was the last row we did before the other side, if that helps. Well, before I send you off on your own, that is. So single crochet in your first, this is going to be the repeat row. Second, third, fourth, 5th, and 6th. Take your stitch marker out. If you want to keep putting your stitch markers in, you can, okay? You don't have to. Chain 1. Now, with this part right here, the reason I took my stitch markers out, it's to remind you that's where we finished off before I sent you off on your own and you did the other side, which was here. And you did all of that, right? So that's exactly what I want you to do. Now, start with your lines again. Repeat all of this down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Repeat that. And as you go along, you are marking your rows off. When you get to whatever row you got to, meet me back here. Don't cast off because we need the final stitch here for this one. Okay, so don't cast off. All right, meet me back here and I'll tell you what you're going to do next. Good luck, guys. Alrighty, guys, this is where you should be, right here. Now this one is still dangling. Yes, still dangling. These two you don't have to worry about. They're the ones that I've already done. Okay, so this one is still dangling and this one's still dangling. So what you should have is, let me hide that one because we don't need that one. All right, that's what you should have right now. Okay, so bring it down, keep them straight, and that's where you should be. Get that there and right there. All right, lay your work flat. Okay. Now, I actually undone the last row on the one that we're working on now, and I'll explain that to you in a minute. But before I do, there are 2 ways you can do this part here. You can finish off your row, cut it, and then sew with a needle your pieces together like that in the 2 loops there. Hello. That's not what we want. Get it right, Mary. Like that. All right. 2 loops there and 2 loops there, and you will be able to see a seam. Or you can do it like I have, which is a little more technical. This is the other side, and this is how I've done the other side, and you can't really see a seam. Oh, that's the wrong side anyway, that's the right side right there, and you can't really see a seam, and it's flat on both sides, so it doesn't bother you over your shoulders, and flat on the original side. Okay, so let's see if you'd like to take a risk of doing it this way. All right, so there's your 2 fronts. Yes, that's how your bag should look, facing you. Bring your straps down all the way, making sure they're both flat like that. Yep. Take undone your last row from the side that you are actually working on. Okay, and we are going to, I'm going to leave that there so you can see it. We are going to turn your work like normal, being careful now because it's turned, okay, but still it's going to go into that thread right there. It's going to work into that side, right? So this side, your last, well, it depends on which side you ended off with really, but that's the way your work is supposed to be attached. Now we've turned it a little bit. We're just going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch right there. I'm going to pull the loop up, and I want you to do the same and lay them flat again. That is pretty much how your work's going to attach, like that. All right, so turn your work a little bit. Whether you ended off with a tail on this side or not, if your tail's on that side, it doesn't matter. Let's blow it up for you so you can have a look. Your very last stitch, or your first stitch, whichever side you're on, right there. Okay, this is what you do. You grab your other end. See your loop, just grab that loop and you pull it through to the stitch on your hook. Then you single crochet in the other side, like that. Pull up a loop, go into your second stitch, grab that loop, move that tail out the way, it's only going to confuse you, and pull it through to the loop on the other side, or the stitch I should say on the other side. Then you single crochet in the opposite side, take it out, go to the opposite side of your other piece, pop the loop back on, a little bit fiddly, but it works, trust me, and it looks much better. Pull a loop through, single crochet on the other side, pull up your loop, and it's only about 6 stitches. Oh, it is only 6 stitches because that's all we're working on. All right, loop back on the hook, pull it through to the stitch there, single crochet on the other side, pull up your loop, go into the very next stitch, which is your second last stitch that we're working on, and pull that loop through. Now we're single crocheting in our very last stitch there, pull up that loop, go straight into your very last stitch on the opposite side, pull the loop through, chain 1, and I'm going to show you that flat edge. Check it out. All right, so what we're going to do is check out that flat edge. Gorgeous. Now you'll also find that this one here may look a little bit like that. That's okay. And then what you're going to do before we do that, let's just cast off what we just did. All right, you've chained your 1, yes, there. So grab your scissors and give your work a cut and just bring that thread through, and that's cast off there. Right. Now on the opposite side where we first started, you might have that look, okay? Don't stress, because believe it or not, it should have been the other way around. I should have been crocheting this side to that one. So if you remember to do it the other way around, that's great. If not, oh, it's a bit frayed, isn't it? Let's get rid of that. If not, this is what you do. So don't stress, okay? Because all it is you need to grab that knot and pass it through to the opposite side of your work and just, give me that long tail, just pull it through, okay? And then you turn your work, wait a minute, make sure you're weaving it in the right side, the wrong side of your work. That's your right side all the way up to here, like so. There, I can get it close up for you. And just weave it in. There we go. Find some stitches, oh, too close, all over the place. Just find some stitches underneath there, making sure you can't see it from the top. There, and you can't. And weave that through. Oh, don't pull it too tight. I just pulled it too tight. All right, just weave it through there. Yes, and you can probably just keep going, if you like, across there, making sure you can't see the needle. You can't. All right, then you're going to, of course, because you know yours truly is a stickler, you don't have to. If you're not a stickler like me, you're going to go back the other way, different direction, different stitches. And if you want, you can come down the other side. It doesn't matter, but you need the other side because you're going to weave that one in as well. I'm not going to show you all the weaving in. I just want to show you this one here for now, and then we'll work on the rest another day. Oh, well, not another day, later. All right, I've weaved that in 3 times. I'm not going to do that again. That's plenty. That will never come undone. Okay, nice and tight stitching in there as well. Okay, so that's one of your ends weaved in. Don't stress if it looks a little bubbled along here and even along the rest of your edge. We are going to crochet along these edges, so don't stress. Okay, so now what you've got is one handle done. All right, whoops, I dropped the bag. Hello, one handle done. Come on, Mary, get it right. One handle done, and now I want you to go and do the opposite side and meet me back here in a moment after you've done your opposite side. All you need to do is repeat both the handles on the opposite side. Meet me back here soon, and I'll tell you what you're going to do next. Alrighty guys, you should now officially have both sides done. Okay, I've got threads everywhere, don't mind me. We are going to work on one section, one arm section right here. Okay, you've joined your spot. If you haven't weaved in your ends, it doesn't matter. We're going to do that later. Let's not worry about that for now. Let's rejoin our yarn to make a border around the handle and around the whole bag. Okay, so let's look at where our handle starts, and it's there. We don't want to join in a corner, and I'll explain that later to you when we get to it. And we don't want to join our yarn here either. So what my suggestion to you is to join it on either one of your sides. Now I'm thinking here. See this one right here? That's where your handle is, and that's where your very last hexagon is, in the middle, sort of like under your arm anyway. So if you forget to weave it in or don't weave it in properly and it looks funny, then it doesn't matter because it'll be under your arm. All right, so we should officially have 8 double crochets across there. You go 1, 2, 3, 4. You pop your hook in that 4th stitch there. Grab a thread. Now remember one thing, we are using a 3.5mm hook. On this hexagon we used a 4.5mm hook, or I did anyway, which means this row is going to be extra tight. So what I want you to do when you're doing your hexagons, you are doing loose stitches. So chain 1, right? Let me move this out the way so you can see what we're doing. And in there you do a single crochet, nice and loosely, like that. Probably not that loose, it's probably a little bit too loose. Grab your stitch marker and pop it in there. You will need that towards the end of the row, okay? All right, now what you're going to do, you don't have to, yours truly is going to weave in, let's try crochet in some of that tail. All right, I'm going to get a close-up for you. There's your next stitch right there. You're going to pop your hook in and do a normal single crochet. And that's your second one. And there's your third. and there's your 4th, and there's your 5th. All right, now you are there in your corner. All right, we haven't got the corner yet, we just got in the stitch before the corner. Jump in the corner with a single crochet. Now here I want you to give it a tiny little bit of tension, not too much. Jump right into that very next corner with a single crochet. All right, now no more tension. Remember this stitch here, you've moved that over a little bit and you have to get into that first stitch there or you'll be short, and you should have 8 across there. 1, 2, remember not to do them too tight, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, so that's where our bag handle is. We're going to go into the corner with a normal single crochet, just normal, no tension, no nothing. Your next stitch will actually land right in the stitch that we first started with. So you just find a little space, see the little space there? Pop in there with a single crochet. Yes? Then every little space you see, single crochet there. Single crochet there. Now these spaces are the chain ones that we did when we did our bag handle. These are all the chain ones. Now if you've missed a chain one, you may miss a space and your handle will be crooked when you've crocheted it. Okay, so into every space with a single crochet. It's a very simple round this, and so will the next part be simple as well. Alright, so what I want you to do, so you're not watching me do it, you've got to go all the way around your handle, all the way around your handle, get to just before that corner, maybe a stitch before the corner. Alrighty guys, I thought I would insert this a little bit. I forgot to mention about the knot on the top of your bag. Okay, now this is the other side, but I'm going to show you this here, and then when you head off on your own, you can actually do the second side on your own, okay? So this is the stitch before, second last stitch before the knot. Now this is the last stitch before that little knotted area. Pop your single crochet in there, and what you're doing is you're actually skipping over. You're skipping over all of that knotted area, and you are jumping straight in that next stitch. Tighten it up a little bit, and then you just keep going in the round. I do apologize. So I'll pop that in now, and that way when you do the round, you will know what to do when you come to the top of your handle. All right. Okay, so head off and complete this side of the bag, and I shall meet you back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, oh, just drop the bag off the table as you do. Okay, let's get a nice close up for yours, or you can see. Alright, now that's the bag handle, yes, and we've gotten to the stitch, well I said the stitch before it, but I'm a couple of stitches off, sorry guys. So I'm going to get into that second last stitch, and that's the stitch. There's actually 2 stitches before it, so I'll take my stitch marker out and you can have a better look. Alright, so just remember you are putting it in every space you come to before your corner. So there's a space there, and then you've got that stitch right there. Okay, so you want to get into that stitch, which was the same as the stitch on the opposite side. If you remember correctly, we went into the stitch first before we went into all the spaces. That's exactly what you're doing here. You're going to the stitch first, then you're going into the corner with a single crochet, and then that very first stitch you come to, and off you go. All the way down here. Now remember, this is only one side of your bag, yes. I'm going to show you when you get to that middle of your bag. So just keep going until you get to your very next corner, which is right here. That's the last stitch there before the corner. All right, whoops. Now there's your corner. You're going to do a single crochet in your corner. Now this section here, right here, remember when we started in the middle of a hexagon on the other side? In the middle of that section there is the middle of your bag, and you're just going to keep going around to your very next handle, going over that next handle and meeting back at the stitch marker. I'll show you this part so you know what you're doing. It's very basic now. It really is just a single crochet in the round if you think about it for now. Okay, so you're in the corner. You're going to skip over all of this. Remember what I said about the corners before your bag handle? You're tightening that last stitch a bit and doing a single crochet in your very next corner, like that. And remember that stitch there is actually a stitch, single crochet in the stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That is now officially the middle of your bag. I'm too far away, sorry guys. That's officially in the middle of your bag on the opposite side. So now we're turning our bag a little. All right, we are now on the opposite side of the bag. I'm not changing anything, we just keep going. Single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, all the way across until you get into that corner. You're popping a single crochet in the corner, giving it a gentle tug, skipping over all of this, and a single crochet in your next corner. And then that first stitch, remember, single crochet, single, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, bag handle. Okay, this is your last, well, actually your second last if you think about it. This is the last handle, but it's your second last bag handle section for this side. Okay, so single crochet in your corner. Now what did we do before? We went into the stitch. See that stitch right there? We did a single crochet in that stitch, and then in every little chain space you come to. Super duper easy. I love this round, and I love the next round more because the next round is going to be our final round. Well, no, that's our final round for crochet. Then we have to line the bag, which we're not doing today, guys. Sorry. Hate to disappoint you. All right, let's just pull that loop up for a minute. Okay, all right. When you get to, here we go. When you get to the stitch, I'm going to actually put it in the stitch of that last stitch of the bag handle. When you get there, I shall meet you up. Go ahead and get to that spot and I'll meet you up. Alrighty guys, we are here at the end of the row. Well, no, not really. We're just near the stitch marker here, the first one. So take that stitch marker out, like so. Okay, whoops. You have one job, woman. Let's go. Ugh, sorry guys. I'm so on the edge of the table. All right, so we actually have that last stitch before the corner. Now that is the working stitch there. It's actually a row in your work there. Then you go into the corner, and remember that stitch right there? This is the part where we need to be loose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, sorry, I hope I'm not going fast for the newbies. Sorry. 6. I keep forgetting. I do apologise. 7. Because I'm racing off air. When I get on air, I tend to keep racing. 8. All right. Pop your stitch in the corner. And remember, we're tightening the corner a little bit. We're jumping over all of this, jumping into our next corner with a corner. A little bit tighter there. And then you single crochet. That's a stitch, remember. 1, 2. Oh, don't split the yarn. 2. And 3. Now remember, we put a single crochet in our fourth one right there. This is the one where if you wanted to, you could do that special join. I really don't like it. If you're new, you're thinking what special join? Well, I'll show you that in the future. But for now, I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of this stitch right here. And that's the first stitch we made. Pull the loop through, pull a loop through, and we'll give it a cut. If you like, I'll show you the join. You know what? I'll leave it there and show you the join at the end of the tutorial. So keep that nice and loose in case you want to try that new join. All right. But in the meantime, have a quick look at your work. There it is. So what you did was one side right there, all the way over one handle. Then you went to the other handle and you went all over that handle. Now, guess what? You still have another job to do. Now this job is going to be exactly the same, but the single crochet is going to be on the insides of the handles, both side handles, okay? But you know, just like this one, you do it once, you start in one area and you work your way around, and I'm going to start you off. Now remember, this is either the front or the back of your bag. So if you started right there, that's going to be right in front of your bag. But that's okay, because when we finish our bag today, and before we put our lining on, I'm going to pop a little latch that goes over this with a button so that you can actually close up your bag. So it doesn't matter whether you pop it in the center. So there's your stitch 1, 2, 3, and you pop it in the fourth. And guess what? You're doing exactly the same that you did, oops, went the wrong way, in the outside of the bag. You're going to do on the inside of the bag. It's super duper easy, guys. Chain 1, single crochet in the same spot, remember keeping it nice and loose, and you are going to pop your stitch marker in, and everything you did around the outside of the bag you're going to do around the inside. So single crochet there nice and loosely. Remember this, when we're on the hexagons, we're doing it loosely because we are using a 3.5mm hook or a smaller millimeter hook. Keep going, and you've got your 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got one more, 5, which is right there or close to it, wherever you want to put it. Oops, I'm going to pop that thread at the back now. There's my corner, single crochet in the corner. Remember, when we get to the corners, we tighten that stitch a little bit, jump into the next corner and tighten it a little bit. Just move it over though, because there's our stitch right there. Single crochet in there, and off you go all the way in the round. It's super duper easy because you've already done the other side. I love, love, love. All right. And there you go. You're right on the corner there. About to start your handle. I'm sorry, it's probably blurring everything there. So you're going to pop a single crochet in the corner like you did before. Then you're going to pop a single crochet in that first stitch right there. 1. And then off you go in the round. Okay, super duper easy. I love this part. You know what you're doing. Get yourself around this section right here. Now the only thing different about this going the inside of your handle is you actually have to do it twice, because it only actually goes around the inside of one handle. Then you move it out the way, turn your bag over, and you do the other side. But for now, just do the 1, and I shall meet you back when you get to this stitch marker right here. I'll meet you here and I'll tell you what you're going to do next. Alrighty guys, I got to the end of the side here. Now I just want to move those handles out the way because they just take up so much lighting. I didn't actually go through the corners yet. Alright. So I'll show you why. There's no big difference. It's exactly the same. It's just that this corner looks a little bit more solid, and it might have been that very last join that we did. So we're just going to do the corner like normal. And as you know, it's still not close enough. Let's try that. That's better. And as you know, what are we doing in the corner? We are doing our single crochet in the corner like normal. And remember, we tighten the corners without splitting the yarn there. We tighten the corners up that little tiny bit. Let's move everything out of the way because you can't see what I'm doing here. That's better, much better. No, it doesn't want to work. Here we go. So you tighten your corner a little bit more than your normal stitching here. Jump straight into the other corner, tighten that up a little bit, and then move it over, obviously, and then pop your first stitch there. 1, should be 3 across, 2, and 3. Your fourth one is the one with your stitch marker right there. Now, once again, I think I may use that join that I've been talking to you about, and I'll show you that at the next round. But for now, you're going to slip stitch. I think I might have split that yarn here. Let me take that stitch marker out. Hopefully you don't split as much as I do. Okay, slip stitch into your top of your first stitch, pull the loop through, pull up a loop. Don't make it too tight because I'm going to show you how to do that fancy join, okay? And we will do that later. In the meantime, what I want to do is get you started on your very next side. So turn your bag over. Once again, move those handles out of the way. That's your middle section. Pick it up. All right. This is the side that we haven't single crocheted on yet, the inside of the other side of your bag. All right. So find your stitches here and go 1, 2, 3, and 4. In your fourth stitch right there, you are going to add your thread, pull your loop through, grabbing your tail end. You know, you don't have to pass it forward. I just do that to lock it all into place. Chaining 1, single crochet in your first stitch, the same stitch you're in actually. Pop your stitch marker on. Now, if you are an avid crocheter and you know where to slip stitch at the end of the row, you don't need your stitch markers. I know I've said that a few times and I'll say it again. Now, you're going to crochet over your tail if you want. So that was your first single crochet, your second. You should end up with 5 along here. Third. Fourth. I'm going to drop that tail so we can see what we're doing. And fifth. Now the fifth has got this, it's all that, you know, kind of slip stitch join from the previous round. So do your single crochet in there. All right, now here is the middle join, okay? But you've got your corner, so single crochet in the corner. Remember, do the corner a little tighter than your normal stitching. And then you're jumping over all of this straight into your next corner. Tighten that up a little bit. And single crochet in your stitch. 1, 2, and so on, and so on, and so on, all the way. Whoops, so many ends. We'll weave those in later. All the way around your handle. Remember, when you get to that little join there, you kind of jump over it a little bit. You do your first stitch, jump over it like I showed you in that little disclaimer earlier. Then you come straight back. Meet me right here and get ready for finalizing our bag. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row. Okay, we have a couple of stitches left. I'm telling a lie, I only have 1 stitch left. And there you go, keeping it nice and loose. Now don't forget to slip stitch. I haven't split any yarn there, so that's good. So you're slip stitching, take out your stitch marker and pulling your loop through nice and loosely because we are going to try that special join. All right, and there you go. All right, in the meantime, let's just have a quick look at our bag. And there you go. And what you have now is 2.5 million ends, yeah? And you have your straps done. That is actually the final thing that you need to do for your bag. However, in a moment, we're going to weave in these ends. And the next time we meet, we are going to line the bag and then we are going to add a little something over the middle to close up our bag with a little button, if you will. And we'll talk about that on the next tutorial. Right? In the meantime, let me show you that little I don't know, it's a fancy join that everybody seems to be doing. I personally don't like it, but it's good to show you anyway. Normally I would just tighten that real tight and weave my end way into the back so you can hide it all, right? But everybody talks about that little knot that gets, you know, that's visible. So we're going to take it undone just this once. You don't have to do this join. I just wanted to show people. So we're going to take that slip stitch undone. Now see how we did our last stitch there. Our next step is to slip stitch into there. We're not going to do that. We're just going to pull that loop up. And your stitch is incomplete, right? Which is normal. Then you grab your little tail end, you thread it into your needle. Oh, not that much. Thread it into your needle, and this is what we do. That's where your stitch is. It's incomplete. Now you want to complete it. Normally we would take our hook, we'd go into those two loops and then pull a loop through, yarn over, pull a loop through. We're not going to do that. We're going to pop our needle in the back loop instead of both loops. Go through the back loop of this only. Now I've done this stitch before where I've done it so many different ways, and let's going to try one more way and hope I like this one. I probably won't, but anyway, we'll see. All right, so there's that one. You bring that over. Then, because you're finishing off your stitch, so you need to have that line there, yeah? Then you get your needle and you pass it down the back of a stitch that you were already in, like so. Oh, if I can get it to come through. Here we go. And there you go. And there's your little chain knot there, yes? But now you're going to come back through that stitch, but you're going through both those loops. Oh, did I split it? No, you're going through both the loops this time. So coming back into the stitch, going through both the loops, then you're going to, get out of the way you, pass your needle. Let's see if I can get a nice close-up so you can see what I'm doing here. Grab that thread at the back and I'll hold it. You're just going to pass your needle into the stitch. The same stitch you're in, but you're passing it through the stitch, kind of like splitting it if you will, and pulling it through to the back, like so. Your join has been complete, which I still don't like. Notice I still don't like it, but that's okay. It's not a matter of whether I like it, it was just a matter of showing you. See how funny I am? Okay, so then what you do is you're just finding some stitches to weave your end in at the back. I just don't like the look of it, that's all. So you can't see your needle there and you can't see it at all. Give it a tug. Oh, not too much. All right. See, personally, I still don't like it. You can still notice that you've done something different there. We may as well have kept the knot for that. Oh, I'm so fussy. All right. Going back the other way, you've got to weave this in. Remember, you've got other tails there too, which is a pest. But anyway, going back the other way, weaving it in. Probably would have been better to go the other way, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you weave them in, guys. Just weave them in. Oh, so you don't see my big fingers there. Just weave them in the way you like, because at the end of the day, we're going to line our bag anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I don't know how far up the lining will go. I don't think it'll go that far. We'll see. I haven't decided on the lining yet. I've got the lining. I haven't decided how I'm going to do it. Now, you can go back the other way if you like. You don't have to. This is yours truly being pedantic yet again. Oh, I forgot to check the front, but I'm pretty sure it's all right. Always check the front, guys. Make sure you can't see your needle, because if you can see your needle, you can see the thread, and you don't want that. Defeats the purpose. All right, now let's have a look at that little stitch right there. I don't like it. I still don't like it. All right, so there you go, guys. That's it. What I would like for you to do now is to weave in your 2.5 million ends, and you weave them in any way you like, and you've just seen how I've weaved mine in. I will do my normal weave in for the knot. I'm not doing this one. And meet me back here on Thursday to put the lining on our bag. And also to put a little, like a little latch thing. You'll need a small amount of yarn for that, so don't stress too much. And whatever yarn you have, you can use the same, or you can use one of the different colours if you like. I will talk about that on our live. Our live is 10 a.m. Saturday mornings and 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons, Melbourne, Australia time. Remember, Melbourne, Australia time, every week. And we talk about pretty much what we are doing throughout the week on the channel, plus future tutorials, plus other stuff, and plus we have a lot of fun as well. We can be a little bit silly, but that's okay because it's live, yeah? Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all those wonderful things that you guys already do for me. Meet me back here on Thursday to line your bag, and I will catch you soon. Ciao for now.